At this very moment, in a system far from here, the New Republic lies to the galaxy! All remaining systems will bow to the First Order!
Dark greetings
And welcome
to all remaining systems. This is a Star Wars podcast, and I'm Michael.
And I'm Matthew.
Before we get started with the show here, quick shout out to JXEditor for sending us our new intro. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty good, and it fits with the Trioculus meme we got going. It's good.
The Trioculus meme is pretty ludicrous. But I will say that intro, it's pretty killer, and thank you so much for doing that.
For sure. So, before we get started in our main topic for today, we're going to do our little hat skit where we pull a name and an action out of a hat and try and form a narrative to piece it all together. So, the protagonist of this skit will be Radis.
Oh, okay. Oh, a little side note, this is probably one of my favorite bits that we ever do.
Yeah, Matt actually asks to leave after every time we do this, and then I force him to actually participate in the main discussion.
Yeah, usually. Okay.
So will you pull in action for us?
Okay, since what was the last one we did? Was it Salacious Crumb?
No, that was for the Chris Hansen.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so, what are we doing here?
I think our last one was Commander Cody falling in love with Padme or something. So what is Admiral Radis doing?
Okay, so convince Boss Nass to give Himsa una bongo.
Okay, alright. So let's set this up. I mean, the Gungans are in an underwater city, right?
Mm-hmm.
So well, first we should probably establish what time period does this take place in. Because Radis is only alive pre A New Hope. So the question is, are we going back all the way to like Phantom Menace era, or are we sticking with early Galactic Civil War?
I'm gonna say it's after Phantom Menace. I'm gonna say during Clone Wars.
During the Clone Wars. Okay.
Yes.
So let's see.
But before Mon Cala gets attacked.
Okay. All right. So Radis is in his youth, right? He's just going out exploring the galaxy, having a good old time.
College days. He's going abroad.
He's in Admiral College.
Right, but he's going to planets that he knows has vast seas.
Yeah, he's broadening his horizons, but not too much.
Right. He's taking land-based life just a little at a time.
So, all right. So he's do you think he crashes on Naboo, or do you think he willingly goes to the...
He willingly goes. He gets his little ticket, he gets it punched, and he gets onto a shuttle. So he's sitting there.
He's taking a bus to Odo Gunga.
Yes. In fact, he's not the only one. There's like a whole group of students with him.
It's a field trip.
It's a field trip.
Are all the other students also Mon Calamari? Or
yes. Yes.
Well, good to know that all those air-breathing fishmen are united.
You know
together.
what? No. In fact, they have one foreign exchange student that's a Nautilin that's with them.
His name is Mr. Oshikali.
And he knows the Force. No.
That's a joke no one will get. So, that got cut from that episode.
Oh, man.
So alright, so how does he get before Boss Nass, do you think? Do you think he was, what would cause him to be brought before?
Okay, so I think there should be a freeze frame where he's like, you're probably wondering how I got here. I think he was exploring Theed and everything, and just seeing the historical sites.
And then he goes to Odo Gunga, of course.
Right, because they now have a peace treaty, the Naboo and the Gungans.
Yeah.
So he's
Sabian friends.
Right,
and
so he wants to go and see the historical city of the Gungans.
Okay, but that doesn't explain how he gets before Boss Nass, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How specific, like, does he wind up in trouble, or is it just like he pulls some strings, calls in a couple favors to meet with this influential man?
Okay.
fish, whatever you would consider Boss Nass.
So Radis gets separated from his classmates.
Okay. And he just wanders into Boss Nass's...
he's wandering around, yes, and he just kind of walks in.
Like their confidential meeting.
No, even worse. Boss Nass is having an affair.
Oh, okay.
So he uses a boss girl as blackmail. Yeah, he's like, look, I
need a sweet ride to get around these parts of town.
Right.
There was a sweet Gungan chick who had her ears tied up in a ponytail, and I was like, man, I need a sweet ride to impress her.
And if you don't cough up,
una bongo,
I'm gonna tell your people of this scandalous act that you're doing.
Oh.
So Boss Nass is like. Like Richard Nixon, and
I get it because he's being blackmailed.
Yes,
Nixon wasn't blackmailed, but
then
he was caught doing things he shouldn't have done.
And then he starts laughing because he remembers that he doesn't have the bongo anymore. It's still parked at feet.
Well, in the deleted scene, it fell down a waterfall, so it ended back in Otokan.
But
it went through the planet core in reverse.
The larger fish returned.
Yeah, exactly. They were super nice, and Boss Nass was like, "Oh man, I'm so glad those giant fish brought this bongo back, because now I can give it to this Radis kid." And that is how Admiral Radis got a bongo from Boss Nass.
I like that.
I think that went well.
That went pretty well.
So,
canonize it.
Yeah, make it canon. Hashtag. So without further ado, let us proceed with our main discussion. As we stated, JXEditor sent us this new intro. He's also a big fan of the show. He comments on a bunch of our videos, and I've interacted with him on several occasions. So he sent us a fan edit he made. And he's made a couple of fan edits, from what I can tell. His fan edit, Kenobi, A Star Wars Story, and we decided to watch and review it. Sorry, Matt is pulling some shenanigans to attempt to distract me.
As I do.
So, Kenobi, A Star Wars Story is a fan edit that attempts to sort of make Obi-Wan the focus of the prequels and make Anakin not so much a background character, but make his fall to the dark side happen kind of off screen. Let's see. Yeah, the description of the video, to be exact, says, I set out to prove that not only could the story of the Star Wars prequels could be told with Vader being a minor character, but doing so would improve the story. The edit aims to tell the story of the prequels from the eyes of Obi-Wan and includes countless cuts and alterations. Okay, so the fan edit starts off with sort of stock footage of Imperial occupation from Battlefront 2, or Battlefront 1 rather, and Empire Strikes Back and whatnot.
A couple kind of put together shots of Tatooine kind of just being put in there.
Yeah, and I like that as an opening. Obviously, being the different kinds of footage, it doesn't entirely mesh perfectly, but I feel like it's the thought that counts mostly with these kinds of fan edits, and I think that that's a good idea of like a framing device for this story. Do you agree, Matt?
I agree, the Michael.
Thank you, the Matt.
So I do like how there are scenes from like I believe that was episode 5 that we saw as an opening, and
yes.
And I like how it starts in space in traditional Star Wars manner.
It does. It doesn't pull a solo.
Yeah, which I like. I think that's really cool. Now you're pulling shenanigans to distract me.
Yes, the Matt.
So another interesting thing, there are kind of not really subtitles, but there's script in there kind of telling the story along its way.
It's mostly here in the beginning with the with the Journal of Obi-Wan, which I like in concept. I don't necessarily like the way it's sort of implemented. I don't know. It may be the font. It may be just the way the text is done. I don't know if it should have been done in an opening crawl.
Yes, an opening crawl, maybe, yes.
Or you know what? I was thinking more along the lines of like Solo, where it's like black screen. I think that's kind of what it's trying to go for. Where it's like, Solo, where it's like on the streets of Corellia, one boy has the hopes to fly amongst the stars. Something like that.
Right.
But I don't know. It just didn't... just visually, I think it didn't mesh well with the footage from.
And there's a couple of, altering the canon here of Darth Grievous.
Yes, very similarly to the previous fan edit we reviewed on this channel, The Blackened Mantle. It makes Maul and Grievous the same character. Obviously, this is not attempting to adhere to canon, nor do I think it really should, because.
Although Darth Grievous is pretty cool of a name for a Sith name.
That's a pretty good name. And I do like the idea of them being the same character, because it doesn't make every, prequel have a throwaway villain that's just going to be replaced in the next one,
Right.
And it leaves more reasoning to Obi-Wan specifically going to fight Grievous.
Another thing is Obi-Wan has, like, a lot of arch nemesis. Like... He's got Maul. He's got Jango. He's got Jango. He's got General Grievous.
He's got
Vader.
Yeah, that's a big one, really.
Everyone wants Kenobi dead.
Kenobi.
And it's good to kind of like condense it.
Vizsla hated him.
Vizsla hated him. A lot of people just hated Kenobi.
Dooku, I guess you can count.
I guess.
Dooku didn't hate Obi-Wan.
But
he wanted him to rival, join him.
But I think the nemesis of Dooku could arguably be Anakin.
I think that's more fair.
Yeah. Because whenever you think Grievous, you're like, oh, well, his arch nemesis is Obi-Wan. When you think Maul, it's like, oh, it's definitely Obi-Wan.
It's Obi-Wan, but it also should have been Dooku. You and I have talked about this before, where it's a huge missed opportunity that we didn't see more rivalry between Maul and Dooku, because he felt maybe Dooku took his position more or less, that he was just his replacement.
Also, you got to think Dooku wasn't Dooku trained Qui-Gon.
Yes.
So in a sense, it's like he trained these people to take him out and then take his place.
That's an interesting angle too. I didn't think about that.
Oh. Later, we might talk about this later, but I kind of want to bring it up now since we are talking about Dooku.
Go for it.
His lightsaber color.
Yeah, there's some...
Yellow. I really liked that.
I like that a lot, because not only does that add more ambiguity at the time to Dooku's allegiances, but I think it's also a very underutilized lightsaber color. In the films for sure, but even just in the EU in general.
Right. In the EU, it's usually set for the Sentinels and...
Old Republic. Because, if I told you to name 3 Jedi with yellow lightsabers, could you do it?
I mean, Plo Koon.
The only 2 I can name are Plo Koon and Bastila Shan.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, what was the Grand Inquisitor's name? Did it ever say?
His name has never been revealed.
That sucks.
In fact,
I want to know more about that guy. I want to know his Jedi past.
You get a little bit more of it in the Vader comics.
Okay.
Where you find out he was not only was he a temple guard, but he wanted information that he felt the council was hiding from him. So as soon as they took over the temple, he's going through all these books and archives, and he's throwing books left and right, and he's trash, garbage. And that's when Jocasta Nu attacks him.
We should go back and cover this topic later. Maybe we should do a thing about comics.
Sure. Yeah, we need to get back
to this fan edit.
So then we get Phantom Menace.
Ooh, yes, that's an interesting edit. So Obi-Wan is constantly using Qui-Gon's lightsaber.
Yes. Good call. While we're on the topic of lightsabers, I like it. I don't think what the editor tries to do is he has a 3D model overlaid on Obi-Wan's lightsaber whenever it's thrown away from him, in the fight with Jango Fett, and it stands out a lot and doesn't mesh in well. And I understand, I'm not expecting, incredible CGI from a fan edit, That's kind of unreasonable to ask, but if you had just kept it as the original lightsaber, I don't think it's that noticeable, because the fight with Maul is edited in such a way where Obi-Wan defeats Maul so quickly, and there's not that bit where he's hanging from the ledge and you see the lightsaber moving toward him. It's just he picks up the lightsaber and the fight just keeps going.
Right, so it could
you wouldn't have noticed that the hilt's different, I don't think.
You could have probably gotten away with Qui-Gon having the same style hilt.
Yeah.
Another thing is, there was another scene with Anakin's lightsaber being his original lightsaber, and it was kind of a weird look, but it wasn't 3D modeled. It looked like it was just kind of.
Oh, in the fight with Dooku.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this fight with Maul because there's no hanging on the ledge, and it's very
fluid. And
fluid.
The addition of Duel of the Fates, I think, and the way it's cut, I feel like makes it feel less uber choreographed, which is my problem with the normal version of that fight. So I did like that change quite a bit. You get a lot of stuff early on with, Anakin's going to be the chosen one. And about 7.5 minutes in, we're already done with Phantom Menace. Mm-hmm. Which I feel like, I'm not an expert on fan edits, but I'm pretty sure most fan edits do that, because not a whole lot happens in the Phantom Menace.
There's a lot to grab at.
Especially when
or should I say, there's a lack of things to grab at.
Yeah.
You really can't. It's hard to pick content out.
And especially with, as much political stuff is kind of cut out of this edit, Phantom Menace definitely does not have much place. So, you get the first real appearance of Anakin is, this bit with Padme and the assassination attempt, which they get rid of the bugs through the window, so you get a thumbs up from me, JXEditor.
And the whole, the lightsaber, being taken out, instead of killing the bug things, it's deflecting blaster bolts, which is what a level-headed assassin would have tried to do, is snipe from a far away balcony.
Say what you will about the Plinkett reviews, but I think one of my favorite quotes from those is, the old bug through the window trick, a classic.
Also, I like how they deal with the Camino problem. Instead of having Dexter in there.
Yes. Instead, just have Zam Wessel tell them Camino system. Great. You don't have to deal with Dexter Jetster. I'm fine with that. I don't like Dexter outside of Lego Star Wars. Change my mind.
Lego Star Wars was so fun.
I agree. Let's see. So then you get pretty much all the Obi-Wan detective stuff from Attack of the Clones, but
L.A. Noir Star Wars.
Yeah, I think there are some prequel fan edits that try and make it like a noir style, and I feel like Attack of the Clones has a big part of that. But there is one very significant change, that Qui-Gon is now named Qui-Gon Sifo-Dyas.
Yes.
Which, this is an idea I had a while back where I was like, in Attack of the Clones, it should have been, they had the order placed for the clone army in Qui-Gon's name, because that creates more mystery, and that maybe gives Obi-Wan more of a personal stake to figure it out, in addition to having him maybe have a more personal stake against Dooku, because Dooku's, oh, I wish Qui-Gon were here right now, I could use his help. If, Dooku actually thought, Qui-Gon would have wanted this, he would have been on my side, and Obi-Wan's like, absolutely no, he would not. That would have created more personal conflict. But that's an idea I had, and this sort of implements it, as much as you can with the footage available.
Well, back in the day when they were talking about Sifo-Dyas, a lot of people thought it was referring to Qui-Gon.
Because, they do say he was killed 10 years ago, and that makes it very confusing, But it turns out the original thing with Sifo-Dyas, have I ever told you?
Yeah, Sidious.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be Sifo-Dyas. And then somewhere along the way of copying the script, it's supposed to be like a crude, pseudonym of Sidious. But somewhere along the lines of copying the script, someone screwed up and said Sifo-Dyas, and George Lucas said, oh, I like that. It sounds better. And so they just kind of went with it. And now we got that whole storyline about Sifo-Dyas because of a typo. Star Wars is great. So you get a couple minor cuts and alterations with certain dialogue scenes.
Right. It never mentions Tyrannus.
Yes, Tyrannus is not mentioned, which is good because that whole situation is overly complicated.
Right. I believe that was just for lore purposes.
It's that at the end of the movie you can figure out Dooku's behind it when Sidious goes, "Welcome home, Lord Tyrannus."
Yeah. Which a lot of people would forget.
Yeah, most people did forget, I'm sure. You also get a few alterations of the fight with Jango, which I feel like worked pretty well.
Right, and this is where you'll see, like, it's Qui-Gon's saber.
Yeah. I think my favorite edit to the whole fight was they cut down on the Obi-Wan dangling to where he just lands, like, right on the catwalk and goes right into, going back up to the platform. I like that whole sequence being cut down. It makes it a whole lot more plausible that he would catch back up to put the tracker on. And then there's no fight above Geonosis with Jango, but that leads to the problem of why are there blaster burns in Obi-Wan's ship, which, again, I understand not much you can do about that. It kind of is what it is. Still, though, minor inconsistency, nitpick.
Mm-hmm.
I understand there's only so much you can do. And again, I like this focus on Obi-Wan because we don't see, everything that's going on with Anakin. It's mostly implied.
Right.
And I feel like that works a whole lot better because I kind of agree that Anakin should not have been the focus of the prequels. If he is in it at all, it should only be in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I don't know, I don't feel like making the whole saga about Vader works entirely, Mm-hmm. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, see, Vader was just, when he was first introduced...
He's just a weirdo in a suit.
No. When he was first introduced, he was a scary weirdo in a suit.
He was a scary weirdo in a suit.
I remember one of my dear history teachers saying when he first saw Vader on screen when he was a young boy that it actually terrified him because he didn't know if he was an actual man or robot, and he was going around killing people with this unknown magic.
Yeah.
Which...
The magic robot known as Darth Vader.
Which Vader is a symbol of fear and mystery. And I believe a whole backstory where you kind of show him as a whiny baby kind of defeats it.
And I think
and then you're also like, why should this guy be redeemed? What do I get out of it?
Yeah, we've talked before about the redemption is severely harmed by the impact of killing children. Which, again, this edit skirts around, and I greatly admire that. But I think that it also just doesn't entirely work because Vader is not really the central focus of A New Hope or even Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
Empire, until the end, he's still not that deep of a character that, gets the amount of focus. He's more representative of, just the Empire as a whole.
Right.
It's not till Jedi that you get all that. But we've talked about that before, so we'll move on now.
Oh, the lightsaber in the hologram, that kind of bothered me. It could have stayed blue, and that one, I think that would have been okay, because the whole hologram's kind of blue.
I think the green just should have been toned down a little bit. This is like super, super nitpicky. Like not a big deal at all.
Right. This was me just being silly. And I remember I actually made the comment, I was like, why is it really green in this hologram of him just being blue?
I mean, there is
the droidicas were blue, and their blaster bolts that are usually red are blue. Everything, it would have worked if it was blue, but that's me being dumb.
There was some interesting music in the Dooku scene.
Yeah.
I couldn't... It sounded vaguely Republic Commando-ish to me.
Right. I
and then it kind of goes into, like, Qui-Gon's funeral theme a little bit. It's it's interesting. I like it.
It's good shower music. That's what I listen to when I'm in the shower.
Evil choir?
Yeah. That's how I dry off.
I can respect that.
Through an evil choir. A live choir, of course. I have a big bathroom.
That's what I listen to when I shave, usually.
You gotta shave off all that evil.
Yeah. I just gotta trim the evil just a little bit.
Okay, so it's still there. It's just more concentrated.
Exactly.
Concentrated evil.
2% evil. So then you get...
yes, the arena.
The arena, which... Big change I like is you don't have the Jedi and the clones arrive at the same time. And you get... so when everyone gets surrounded, it's by droidicas when they're on the Reek. And I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, I like it. They're all trapped. They're escaping. It's all heroic. It's funsies. And then they're like, okay, yeah, no, we are actually in control this whole time. The droids show up. Then that's when Mace Windu comes out. And you're
with
like,
his blue lightsaber.
Yeah, with his blue lightsaber, which I thought it was interesting. Pretty cool.
I'm not 100% sure what exactly the reasoning is behind all that. I guess it is a little less distracting for Mace to have, a blue lightsaber as opposed to a purple one. And it doesn't really matter all that much. It is visually different and gets your attention. So, no big deal. It's not a positive or a negative change, in my opinion.
Right. Well, I was like, okay, so this is where the Jedi are going to bust down. It's going to be a huge fight scene. But no, when he says you're surrounded...
Or he's like, we outnumber you greatly, or whatever. Then the clones show up, and then the Jedi show up.
Which I think is awesome.
I agree, because you don't have the overblown sequence from clones of, the wall of Jedi against the wall of droids and whatnot,
Right. It's not like, well, all the you Jedi surrender because you're all surrounded.
Yeah, and that's kind of dumb, too.
And then the clones show up. You left the Bal Geonosis in there, which with the sandstorm.
The best part of it with the sandstorm.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Glad that was still in there.
A lot of the stuff that's trimmed I really like because it makes it less, in your face. Like the when Padme falls out the gunship.
Yeah, and
they cut down on Anakin, being like, I have to go save her. And I should clarify, whiny is a bit of an exaggeration when it comes to Anakin, but
I will not clarify. I will still be vague. Whiny is a great term.
Always have to be contrarian. So
I have to keep it interesting by having the same views as others.
So then you get
Yellow Saber
and Qui-Gon narration. Over
yeah. Which I really liked that.
I dig it too, and I think it's from the Mortis arc.
Yeah,
I think because it's not dialogue I recognize from the Phantom Menace.
No, it's definitely from something else.
And it was definitely Liam Neeson, so I guess it would probably have to be Mortis when he had his cameo in that.
The Yoda edit was great because we don't have Yoda hopping around, being all athletic and cool sequence, bro.
And when we do, it's that bit in Revenge of the Sith when they're at the Jedi Temple, and it's pretty minimal, and I think it's an acceptable level because
it's mostly Force driven because he's throwing the saber and using the Force, which I would see Yoda being only a Force user. Not necessarily jumping all around and
hitting
cool flip,
Dooku's
bro.
saber 20 billion times.
Right, so
20 billion times, brother.
But yeah, he comes in, saves them, and that's how Dooku escapes because Yoda was saving them, not because,
And then we also get a sequence of Yoda and the Council promoting Anakin to a knight, which I'm pretty sure is using the audio from the 2003 Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Which is good. I think it's a neat addition.
There's a lot of good things from that 2003
for sure
Clone Wars. I love that one.
But
a lot of people do.
I would just question how necessary that scene is. Because you can infer in the 3 years that he became a Jedi Knight. I guess it's possibly to show that Anakin was rushed in his promotion, and that maybe sets him up for why he's upset that he's not becoming a master as quickly.
I think it might be just for something new, because I think something new, like the more new things introduced, I think the more unique this is. Now, this next part is amazing.
I think my favorite part of the whole edit is this next sequence here, where you get hints at Maul becoming Grievous, where you have, I think it's a couple of clips from like Force Unleashed 2 trailers, with Phantom Menace clips and clips from the Clone Wars of, Lair of Grievous and Grievous's spare parts. And the audio is from, I think I've mentioned this before on podcasts, they had like weird poems pre like Phantom Menace that they used in advertisements, and Darth Maul's was like, "Know that I am Hunter, know that I am Fear." And I like that. I think it's a really cool speech, and it's way more dialogue than he's given in the actual film. And Grievous is dubbed over. Grievous has new dialogue. Some of the battle droids do as well.
Here's the thing. I'm okay with it being dubbed over. It was just... It kind of bothered me, but that's just me being picky.
Yeah, the sound quality is a little off, and the voice acting isn't amazing. Like, it's acceptable, but...
Like, I can tell that it's supposed to be Maul, and it's like a robot Maul.
It's as best a mix as you can get between Maul and Grievous, I guess,
But, I mean... But then it like refers back to, look what I've risen above, and that dialogue sounds normal, like Maul normal. So it was kind of... It kind of threw me off why Grievous would sound like that. I mean, I understand why he would sound like that, but it didn't match up for me with the normal audio. But of course, that's nitpicking, and
yeah, like I said, I actually really enjoyed this fan edit. As someone who is sort of new to this, I thought this fan edit's really good, and all my problems are really nitpicky.
Right. Before it got to Grievous as Robot Grievous, the hangar scene was really nice.
Yes.
Also, I like the cut without the buzz droids. It looked like the missile just hit Kenobi's ship, which was really cool. It cuts out a lot of unnecessary thing, which I guess you could do that for either saving time on screen or just to make it simple.
For pacing purposes.
Right, pacing. But they added music in the hangar scene.
And you and I talked about this, where it's so great because that scene feels so boring without the music in the base film. Because it just feels like, okay, the battle droids pose no threat. I'm not getting any emotion out of this. It's just you're whacking the sabers against the droids for a few seconds while the movie loads.
Yeah.
And they do that again a little later on with with the cockpit sequence, I guess you would call it.
The bridge.
Yeah, the bridge. Cockpit. My brain's not working today, Matt. You saw earlier I asked you where my cell phone was while it was in my hand.
I did witness this. This happened.
Next fun change is in the battle with Dooku.
This was really cool.
Where when Obi-Wan gets knocked out, that's the end of that scene. You only get flashes of
what happened, and then he wakes up and he's in the elevator shaft.
It's such a great edit. I love that so much because that's really kind of another problem with Revenge of the Sith is Anakin goes too dark too quick.
Yeah.
So by having it in these quick flashes, you're not sure all of what's happening. All the manipulation, from Palpatine is in the background, and I really, really like that. So after they crash land, the invisible hand. Sorry, I'm trying to fast forward through this to kind of refresh my memory. We get the whole Anakin, not the rank of master, blah, 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 blah. A lot of this is kind of straight Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, we skipped over the episode 2 scene where Obi-Wan's talking with Mace Windu.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a deleted scene by the looks of it, because some of the effects don't look entirely finished, and it's not dialogue we recognize. So I'm 90% sure it's a deleted scene from episode 2 reinserted. And I really like it. I think it fits in pretty well, actually, in terms of, what you're going for with the character Obi-Wan in this scene.
Right.
Thank you for bringing that up, Matt. I nearly forgot entirely.
And we got the almost to the Darth Plagueis scene. But then it cuts out before he talks about Darth Plagueis.
Which, at first I was like, when I first saw this, I was like, oh yeah, he let this in. If you're going to let one of these scenes in, this is the one to let in. It cut a little early, which I was not expecting, but I think still works pretty well.
Yeah.
Because you really are establishing, Anakin's closeness with the Chancellor. You have to establish that visually because it's only been told to us prior to that. So I see what he did now, and I appreciate it. Next up, we have the last sort of reunion between Obi-Wan and Anakin, which, again, had more music added in, which I feel like made it more emotional and touching. So we get Maul, he is called Grievous officially. Grievous versus Obi-Wan on Utapau.
Purple and red sabers.
Are they red or are they orange? They look kind of orange to me.
I think they're going for red. If not, then whoops. I'm going to say they're red.
Either way. Again, not entirely sure the purpose of changes, but I like it.
I do, because he's a Sith, and it's awesome.
But you see earlier, he's, taking the lightsabers of fallen Jedi.
He says they will serve the dark side. That's what he said.
That's true,
Which he probably would bleed the crystals, which is hardcore.
That is hardcore. I love the idea of
bleeding crystals.
It's hardcore.
It's hardcore.
It's hardcore, bro. And then you get the Duel of the Fates as well, which makes the fight scene a whole lot better. You cut down on the chase by removing Boga entirely, which I respect that. I as much as I love Boga, boy is she unnecessary and defeat the purpose of Obi-Wan's
But Michael was
stealth
all
mission.
sad to see his lizard friend gone.
I do like Boga a lot. Which Boga still shows up.
See, I thought it was a good edit. Michael was crying.
I like Boga a lot.
I like the clones.
There was an attack.
They kept the
figure
clones.
of Boga.
The clones are cool.
Yeah,
They kept the scene where the clone jumps on the crab droid, and I thought that was so cool. Pew, pew, pew.
If you were to make me a list of top 5 most badass clones of all time, and the clone who climbs on top of the crab droid is not one there, your list is invalid, sir.
I know there's one clone way in the background that stabs a droid or punches it, and I think that's pretty hardcore as well.
He should be in that list as well. So you get Order 66 without, seeing the order being placed. It's just suddenly all the clones turn on the Jedi. I like it. Again, you're leaving the vagueness of, Palpatine and his betrayal. I like that, with us not seeing Anakin's, fall to the dark side, his relationship to Padme is more vague up until the ending, and then you find out, quote unquote, at the same time Obi-Wan does, that he killed the younglings, or not the younglings, the Jedi. He makes sure to steer clear of the younglings thing, which again,
right, and
kudos.
And also it solves this whole mystery. Why is there a security footage of Anakin bowing to the Emperor?
Yeah.
I guess at this time the Chancellor. Yeah.
Technically, they can still call him the Emperor, though, because even though he was still the Chancellor while it was recorded, he was the Emperor.
He didn't
when
establish...
they looked at the recording.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
So you have the whole Anakin is the father, isn't he? And I was a little confused on this. We were kind of talking over the scene a little bit. Was it supposed to be that Padme did have Obi-Wan join her on board the ship, or did Obi-Wan sneak on board in Revenge of the Sith? I was a little iffy on that.
I think he snuck back on again.
Because there was that one shot where they show him standing there in the walkway pretty clearly when, Anakin and Padme first reunite. I think, anyway. I was pretty sure. Yeah, right there. But anyway, minor nitpick. I also like, the first time you're seeing Anakin Dark is here on Mustafar, and it feels like such a radical shift that you empathize more with Obi-Wan, being shocked by it, I guess. At first, what I thought this may have been going for also was it's trying to keep, the mystery of Vader is Anakin Skywalker or Vader is the father of Luke and Leia a secret. But it kind of doesn't, because in the security hologram, Palpatine refers to him as Lord Vader, and then
Yoda calls him Vader,
and you get the birth of the twins, and they say where they'll go, even though they're not directly named. So I guess that's not what it was going for. Fine, no big deal. Again, the main focus of this edit was, would the story be improved if Obi-Wan is the sole focus? And I think yes.
Yeah, though you probably wouldn't pump out 3 episodes about it.
For sure.
This would definitely
Or if you did,
episode.
the story would be different. But I think this is a perfect proof of concept that Obi-Wan should have been the protagonist of the prequels.
Right.
Which it's really arguable whether or not he is.
And here's the thing. Like, even if they're scared of killing off a main character, I mean, everyone knows in Star Wars, don't get attached to a character. They will die.
Well, everyone dies.
Everyone dies, but no one's truly gone.
No one's ever really gone. You have to get the quote right, Matt.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
The Senate will decide your fate.
It's treason, then.
No, you're supposed to say, I am the Senate.
I am, but not in my edit. Also,
I just hit Matt.
He abuses me constantly. Please call for help. Oh, there he goes again. It's very... Oh, no. Oh. Is this because I burnt the loaf? Hey, did you hear about the joke about the sadist and the masochist who got married?
No.
So on their wedding night, the masochist said, "Hurt me," and the sadist said, "No."
I'm cutting this out of my brain.
Please keep it in. It's hilarious. You're gonna tell it later.
So
Next family
we
gathering.
get the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
And you see a lot of corpses, which it's cool.
Which I guess, you can infer that Anakin went there to kill separatists. Whatever. The war isn't focused on all that much.
At this point, we just accept that Anakin kills people.
Yeah. So this fight is trimmed down a good bit. Unfortunately, my favorite parts of it are cut, which is the bits in the control room where they get very like physical with one another. When they're in the interiors is, I think, the very best parts of that fight, the most brutal parts. Which I understand. You're trying to trim the fight down, so you got to cut what you can, especially for them to end up, on the hill at the end.
Also, it was probably because there was a lot of jumps between Yoda's fight and this fight.
That's true. That's very true.
And I thought for sure that he was going to make an edit where the lightsaber was red, but that wasn't the case. Which I like, because in A New Hope, lightsaber was blue. And it was Anakin's.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I was just... Yeah, you're right. We get the removal of the high ground line, which is good, because it's silly.
There's a lot of removal of silly lines, like, Sith Lords are our specialty.
Or I saw him killing younglings, where you can see Ewan McGregor trying not to laugh as he says that.
Because killing younglings is hilarious.
Apparently Ewan McGregor thought so.
Killing younglings. He's killing yinglings. He wouldn't slow down.
We're killing strangers.
That's a good song.
John Wick is a good movie.
It is.
You want to watch John Wick right now?
We should do a podcast on John Wick.
You killed John Wick's Rancor.
All remaining John Wick's dogs.
So far, 1. John Wick 3 has not released at time of this recording.
It was announced, though.
We got a trailer for it, too, but we're getting really off topic. You get...
tend to.
They should know what to expect at this point.
It's funny and it's quality entertainment. Thank you for supporting us.
Assuming you do support us.
Well, we commanded them to support their local First Order.
It's true. We do command that of all of our viewers at the end of our
Even if you're
podcast.
not a viewer, we command you. Whether or not you hear that command, I mean, doesn't matter. We're commanding everyone.
Our distress signal's been reached at multiple points, but no one's answering.
Maybe we don't have enough range.
Do you think
Naboo's close enough.
Do you think anyone's listening?
Hello?
No, that was a Rogue One joke.
Oh, no.
Imagine if Cassie was just like, nah, probably not. We died for nothing. You get I Hate You move to when Anakin is fully on fire.
Which I like that.
I like that as well.
We cut the whole screaming, crying uncomfortableness of childbirth, which I like. That part makes me so uncomfortable to watch with like family or just anyone really, because you just see poor Natalie Portman just screaming, and it's just uncomfortable. And then your mom is like, "What are you watching?" And you're like, "Nothing, mother." And then it's just weird.
It'd be like that sometimes. So the rest is pretty straight, Revenge of the Sith. And yeah, that was kind of Kenobi, a Star Wars story.
Oh, and they added things at the end too.
Yeah, the bit with Obi-Wan's, transmission from Rebels.
Which I thought was really good.
I like that. I like that was a thing in Rebels, and I like that it's sort of an after-credit scene in this.
Because it also builds up to A New Hope.
Wow, it ties it all together.
It surrounds us. It binds us.
Good job, JXEditor. I like this edit a whole lot.
Yeah, I really like this edit. This was really good.
I'm trying to think of anything that I haven't already said that might want to be said.
I've said everything I wanted to say. Everything else is extra.
Yeah, I mean, nitpicks aside, focus on Obi-Wan, succeed in that goal. So I wholeheartedly give this a thumbs up. And without further ado, let us move on to skits.
Okay,
Again.
This one, I think I did the last character thing. Didn't I?
Yes, you were Salacious Crumb
Okay,
last
so then
time.
that means you're the character now.
Yes, so
Okay.
let's... again, we should provide a disclaimer. For the following skit, this is not meant to ruin any character or...
This skit's completely non-canon.
It's purely satirical. Don't get fed up if we,
Or do. I don't care. Just do what you want. Form your own opinions. Be angry.
I should also clarify what this segment is. We draw another character name from a hat and recreate a To Catch a Predator skit with Chris Hansen encountering this person. So
that means I get to be Chris Hansen. This is going to be fun. I'm never Chris Hansen. I'm always the Predator.
in the one other time we did this.
Yeah, but I was the Predator.
So, Matt, it's time for you to confront K2SO.
Oh, man. Tonight on How to Catch a Predator. We've set up a decoy to catch...
An Imperial droid.
An Imperial droid. Talking to our agent who is posing as a 13-year-old boy. What happened later that day may shock you.
Knock, knock, knock.
Come in. I just got out of the shower. I'll be right with you.
Hello. Clank, 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 clank.
Oh, could you please just have a seat in the kitchen?
Certainly.
You mind telling me what you're doing here?
I have come to take this girl to inform her the dangers of the internet.
Okay, well, first of all, you do realize that you're seeing a boy.
Oh, my mistake. I am a faulty droid with bad motivationers.
You seem nervous.
Why would I be nervous? I was just on my way to the beach
Well,
of Scarif.
to the beach of Scarif. You're a little far from Scarif.
A little bit.
So, are you aware that this young boy is a minor? 13 years old.
That sounds like there are child labor laws being broken if he is a minor. You should sue him. Where is he mining? On Mustafar or on the likes of Jeddah?
Let me rephrase that in something that I hear the urban youth talk about. He's a youngling.
The urban youth, I don't think that's a term that people use nowadays. I feel like that's offensive.
Well, what's really offensive is the fact that you are here to have sexual relations with a underaged boy.
That's not possible. I'm a droid.
Then why are you here today?
I was just on my way to the beaches of Scarif. Look, I'll just leave.
Hold on, but we have records of what you have said. You said, and I quote, "I would like to plug my charging port into your sexual orifices." Can you please explain? Oh, and explicit pictures of what looks like a micro USB port?
That was not me.
But, and then this
there are
one,
many models that look just like me. That's a different one.
But this one has the same scratches in the paint.
That one looks... that one works for the Empire. That was me when I was programmed to work for the Empire.
So you don't remember any of this at all?
I'm afraid I must leave now. My planet needs me. Clank, 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 clank.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Pew, 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 pew.
Oh my gosh! We're fighting a droid!
And see.
That's,
I think both of our skits involving this have ended in shootouts somehow.
so let's just come to end in a shootout.
No, but it ended with Chris Hansen calling security and security shooting him.
Oh, right. Oh, man.
That's kind of a shootout.
Charging port. That's fun.
You did a good job as Chris Hansen, Matt. Good
Thank
job.
you. Yeah, we are shaking hands. That's what we just did there.
So, Matt, on to our minor discussion topics. Not minor as in
13-year-old
underage.
boys or younglings.
Or, people who mine for minerals. So, Matt, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
You go first, because I don't know what to talk about.
Okay, I know what mine is. Matt?
Yes.
Figure out who would be your ideal Star Wars roommate.
My ideal Star Wars roommate.
You have to share, like, a college room with this character for a semester or two. Determine who your Star Wars roommate would be.
C-3PO.
Okay, explain your reasoning.
Okay, you said college.
Yes.
I'm assuming I have a lot of papers I have to do.
Possibly.
And I probably have a lot of math classes. Well, C-3PO is a built-in calculator.
You have a point.
And he's very fluent in millions of different languages.
Okay.
And it's assumed that he can form proper sentence structures.
But wouldn't that be cheating?
I don't care.
Okay, that's fair. So,
not saying that I would cheat. I don't cheat in college. But I'm just saying, when the option's there.
But don't you feel like C-3PO would be a little bit obnoxious as a roommate?
No. Think about it. He doesn't have to use the bathroom. He doesn't have to eat. There's no annoying burps. There's no, annoying, him bringing over a random woman or guy. I'm not being robosexual or nothing. And if anything, if I don't like what he's saying, I can just turn him off.
That's fair.
Also, I don't know what a droid's doing at college, but if he's there, he's there. C-3PO.
It's going to droid school.
And I don't think he'd be annoying.
Okay. My Star Wars roommate would be Kylo Ren.
Oh, dear.
Because...
Oh, dear.
Here's why.
Oh, that's an emotional mess.
Because both of us are huge fans of the Empire.
Okay.
And we would bond over our love of that.
Yeah, but he has his own ideologies. Aren't you afraid that he's going to, slice up your bed?
No.
With you in it?
No. I feel like he and I would get along well
I think he's
enough.
going to pull a Luke Skywalker and try to murder you in your sleep.
No, that's exactly why he wouldn't, because Luke did it to him, and he would never stab someone when they weren't expecting it. This podcast was recorded pre-The Last Jedi. That's a joke. It was recorded well after The Last Jedi. All right, Matt, lay your discussion topic on me.
Oh, jeez. Okay. You think like any of the Jedi came into the temple just flat out drunk?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
You and I talked about this at one point earlier tonight, which is Jedi may be celibate, but I'll bet you they drink.
Because Obi-Wan gets a drink at the bar.
Now, I'm sure they don't encourage drunkenness, but with the faults of the Order, I'm sure many Jedi got wasted.
Also, do you think Obi-Wan drank, like, at the bars in Tatooine?
I mean, he's familiar with the Mos Eisley Cantina and the patrons there, so I think the evidence is pretty damning in that regard.
Fair enough.
In all seriousness, though, I do think he visits a cantina at least once or twice in the Kenobi book. I have not read it yet, but...
Do you think he just visits cantinas to hear about news of the Empire?
That's possibly a good part of it, but I imagine, while he's there, you may as well have a drink or two. Desert life on Tatooine's hard, man. Give him a break.
How does he make his income? He has a house and everything on Tatooine.
He killed a man.
I could believe it.
Who's gonna stop him? The Tatooine government?
I think it might have been someone that was just completely bad, and he just straight up murdered him and just lived in his house.
It's just Bob the alien trafficker lives down in that hut near the Junlin Waste. And Obi-Wan took him out.
Unless Obi-Wan
just commandeered his place of residence.
Obi-Wan built the house himself. I want to know the house of Obi-Wan. How was it done?
I imagine that's probably answered in the Kenobi book, which I still need to get on to reading at some point.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm just because that's another thing. Jedi just kind of have an unlimited source of money.
But only Republic credits, which we're no good at there.
Fair enough.
So, is there anything else you would like to add before we close out this podcast?
No, because my thing kind of segued into other things. So, I guess it'd be back to you if you had anything.
So, with all that being said, remember to support your local First Order. Down with your resistance, scum. Many Bothans died to bring you this podcast. And all remaining systems will bow
to the First Order.